Most men don't even realize when they've started simping. They just wake up one day wondering why they've lost her respect, her attraction, and a piece of their own sanity. So before you scroll away thinking this doesn't apply to you, stop. Let's find out if it does. Because the truth is, simping doesn't always look desperate at first. Sometimes it hides behind being nice, being generous, or just caring. But underneath, it's one pattern: giving more value than you receive just to be seen as worthy. Now let's get straight into it. The first sign you're a simp: you spend money on her without any form of commitment. Taking a woman out for dinner isn't the issue, that's normal. But if you're constantly opening your wallet for dates, gifts, rides, and little luxuries, while she hasn't made it clear she even wants you, you're not dating, you're financing. And women notice this faster than you think. They might not say it, but they feel it, the energy of a man trying to buy his way into her affection. It doesn't make her feel special. It makes her feel powerful. Here's what really happens in her mind. When she senses a man is trying to purchase approval, it flips a switch. She thinks, I'll enjoy the benefits, but I'll never take him seriously. You become the guy she keeps around for convenience, not connection. Think about it. Would you trust a business partner who keeps pouring money into a project even when it's not profitable? Of course not. You'd see him as weak. Same logic here. She sees your spending not as generosity but as desperation. You're covering her Uber, paying for her drinks, dropping $150 on dinner. Meanwhile, she's still texting other men, still posting thirst traps online, and still hasn't once said, I want you. You're not her man. You're her financial plan. And that's the uncomfortable truth most men don't want to face. Here's the reality. A high-value man invests in a woman after she chooses him, not to bribe her into doing so. Until there's mutual commitment, your wallet should stay closed. I'm not saying never spend a cent. I'm saying spend wisely, not blindly. The right woman will want to match your energy in her own way, maybe by cooking for you, bringing you coffee, or showing appreciation through small acts. But if the only thing she offers in return is her presence, you're not in a relationship, you're in a transaction. And if you're in a transaction, guess who's the customer? You. Now let's move to the next one, the second sign. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. This one's subtle because it feels like you're just keeping the peace. But what you're actually doing is training her to expect submission. Every time you say sorry for things beyond your control, her mood swings, her bad day, her overreactions, you reinforce the idea that your role is to absorb her emotions. Picture this: she gets angry because you didn't text her back instantly. You were at work, focused, doing what a man should, building. But instead of saying, relax, I was busy, you say, sorry, I should have texted faster. That single word, sorry, just told her something huge, that her emotions are more important than your time, that her comfort matters more than your focus. And once you give her that dynamic, it never reverses. Women say they want a man who always agrees, but what they respect is a man who can stay calm when she's emotional, who can hold his ground without hostility. You don't win a woman's respect by bending, you win it by standing still. Think of it like this: when you apologize for things you didn't do, you flip the polarity of the relationship. You start chasing her approval instead of expecting reciprocity. You're saying, your happiness is my responsibility. And that's a dangerous message to send. Owning your mistakes shows strength. But apologizing just to stop tension shows fear, and fear never builds respect. The philosopher Epictetus once said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, stop seeking constant approval, especially from a woman whose respect depends on your backbone, not your compliance. So here's a challenge for you. The next time she blows up over something small, ask yourself, are you apologizing to solve the problem or just to stop the discomfort? One path builds respect, the other drains it. Because every unnecessary sorry chips away at your masculinity until you forget what real accountability feels like. And once you start apologizing for things that aren't your fault, the next step happens naturally. You'll start defending her even when she's wrong. The third sign you're simping, you defend her even when she's clearly in the wrong. This one feels like loyalty in the moment, but in reality, it's disguised weakness. You think you're protecting her, But what you're really protecting is her bad behavior, and she knows it. Every time you shield her from consequences, you're teaching her one thing, that you'll always stand in front of her accountability. Let's make this concrete. Imagine you're out at a restaurant, and she starts arguing with a waiter because the food took too long. The mature thing would be to tell her, relax, it's not that serious. But instead, you jump in, play her lawyer, and side with her nonsense. Or maybe it's more subtle. She's posting half-naked selfies while calling herself your girlfriend. Your friends clown you for it, and instead of confronting her, you say, she's just expressing herself, don't be insecure. That's not protecting your woman, that's protecting her ego. And when you do that, you're not her partner anymore. You're her public relations manager. You become the guy who cleans up her messes and absorbs her backlash. And in her mind, she starts to see you as a safety net, not a man. Remember this, supporting your woman when she's under real attack is loyalty, but defending her when she's out of line is self-betrayal. There's a quote that says, "What you allow is what will continue." Every time you excuse bad behavior, you're not showing love, you're showing fear. Fear of losing her, fear of confrontation, fear of standing alone. A man with boundaries doesn't need to shout or argue. He simply draws the line. He can look her in the eye and say, "That's not okay." And ironically, that's the moment she starts respecting him again. Because respect doesn't come from unconditional support. It comes from earned structure. Which brings us to sign number 4, chasing harder when she pulls away. This is where most men crash and burn. She starts acting distant, her texts get shorter, calls become less frequent, her tone colder. And instead of mirroring her energy, you panic. You start double texting, over-explaining, trying to fix something that she doesn't even want fixed. You start thinking, if I just show her how much I care, she'll come back. But here's the truth. Chasing harder when she's withdrawing doesn't make her come closer. It pushes her further away. Desperation has a scent, and women can smell it instantly. Nothing kills attraction faster than a man trying to convince a woman to want him. She already decided how she feels. Every extra effort you make just confirms that you need her more than she needs you. And that's not love, that's imbalance. Picture this, she leaves your message on read. Instead of going about your day, you're staring at your screen, waiting for those 3 dots to appear. Hours pass, you check her social media, see she's active, and suddenly you feel your chest tighten. So you send another text, "Hey, you okay?" She sees it, ignores it again. Meanwhile, she's out living her life, possibly texting another guy who isn't begging for her attention. You see, when a woman pulls back, she's not always rejecting you. Sometimes she's testing your emotional control. She wants to see if you'll crumble without her presence. And most men do. The simp panics. The high-value man stays still. He doesn't mirror her silence to punish her. He simply continues his mission. Because he understands that attraction thrives on polarity, not pursuit. When you stop chasing, something powerful happens. She begins to feel the void. The silence you leave speaks louder than any text. It says, "My time doesn't revolve around you. You're welcome in my life, but not required." And that tone shifts everything. Here's the psychology behind it. When you act like she's the prize, you instantly lower your own value. But when you move with quiet confidence, when your life is full, your purpose clear, your focus unshaken, she starts remembering why she was drawn to you in the first place. Because women are magnetized to grounded men, not needy ones. So the next time she starts pulling away, don't sprint after her. Step back, breathe, let her feel your absence. Your restraint is more attractive than any apology or paragraph you could send. But here's where most men fail. It's not just chasing that costs them power. It's the silent surrender that comes after. Because once you start reacting to her distance, you start letting her control the entire relationship narrative. The 5th sign you're simping, you let her control the relationship narrative. This is one of the quietest forms of submission because it doesn't always look weak on the surface. You think you're just being patient, going with the flow, or not rushing things. But underneath, you've handed her the steering wheel. She decides what you are, where you stand, and what the future looks like. And you? You just sit in the passenger seat, hoping she'll drive you somewhere worth going. She's the one who says, "Let's not put labels on this yet," and you nod along, even though deep down, you want clarity. She's the one who says, "I'm not ready for a relationship." But you keep acting like her boyfriend anyway, buying gifts, being there on call, offering your time like it's a free subscription. Then when someone asks if you're her man, she smiles and says, "Oh, we're just friends." And instead of walking away, you laugh it off, pretending it doesn't sting. That's not patience, brother. That's fear. Fear of losing access, fear of being alone, fear of confrontation, and women can sense it. They might appreciate the comfort at first, but they will never respect it long term. Because deep down, they crave a man who leads, not a tyrant, not a dictator, but a man who knows what he wants and says it out loud. When you let her define the terms, you're telling her that your boundaries are negotiable. You're basically saying, as long as you give me crumbs of affection, I'll stay. And that's the fast lane to resentment. The truth is simple. Women respect men who take ownership of their reality. If she's treating you like an option, it's because you've allowed it. There's a quote that says, "If you don't set the terms, you'll live by hers." That's not just about relationships, it's about life. Whether it's business, friendship, or love, the person with the clearest direction always leads. So take back the frame. Tell her, "This is what I want. If that doesn't work for you, that's okay." When you can say that without anger or fear, you've already regained your power. And that brings us straight to sign number 6. You're afraid to say no. This is the Achilles heel of the modern man. Somewhere along the way, men were convinced that saying yes to everything makes them kind, thoughtful, and desirable. But what it really makes them is exhausted. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you trade a little piece of your dignity for temporary peace. She says, "Can you drive me across town?" You're tired, but you do it anyway. She says, "Can you buy me this?" You hesitate, but swipe the card. She says, "Come over right now," and you cancel on your plans, thinking she'll see it as devotion. But what she actually sees is obedience, and no woman stays attracted to a man she can command. Let's make something clear. Women test men through requests, sometimes consciously, sometimes not. The test isn't about the favor, it's about your boundaries. She wants to feel that you can stand your ground. When you never push back, you fail the test. Because in her subconscious, she thinks, if he can't say no to me, how will he say no to the world? Think of it this way. A man who's afraid to disappoint a woman will eventually disappoint himself. And when a man disappoints himself too many times, he becomes hollow. You don't need to be cruel to say no. You don't need to raise your voice. You just need to mean it. Saying no communicates self-respect. It tells her that your time, energy, and boundaries matter, and paradoxically, that kind of strength makes her feel safer around you, not threatened, because she knows where you stand. Picture this. She gives you the silent treatment after an argument, then asks you for a favor. The simp folds instantly, hoping that compliance will fix the tension. The man with standards says, "No, not until we talk." One gets walked on, the other earns respect. Masculinity isn't about being agreeable, it's about being anchored. You can love a woman deeply, but if you lose your ability to say no, you'll start losing yourself. And once that happens, everything else starts to slip. Your edge, your ambition, your identity. Because the truth is, when you can no longer say no, you've already started saying no to yourself. And that's when you begin to sacrifice something even more dangerous than your time or money, your masculinity. The 7th sign you're simping, you sacrifice your masculinity just to keep her. This one doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly, like water leaking through a crack. At first, it seems harmless. You stop hanging out with your friends because she doesn't like them. You skip the gym because she says it's too much. You stop doing the things that once made you feel alive. Piece by piece, you chip away at who you were before she came along. And one day you look in the mirror and realize the man staring back doesn't resemble the man she originally fell for. It always starts the same way, with good intentions. You tell yourself you're compromising, being a good partner, making sacrifices for love. But there's a difference between compromise and self-erasure. The first strengthens the bond. The second kills attraction. Because she didn't fall for a man who waits for permission. She fell for the man who had his own world, his own energy, his own gravity. And here's the paradox. The more you abandon those parts of yourself to please her, the more she begins to resent you. Not consciously, but instinctively. The man who once led with direction has now turned into someone orbiting her moods. You stopped being the sun, and you became a planet revolving around her approval. She might say she loves your sweetness, your attentiveness, your devotion, but deep down, she misses your edge, your drive, your independence. Women are drawn to men who have structure and purpose. When you trade that purpose just to keep her happy, she doesn't feel secure, she feels burdened. Because now, she has to carry the weight of your identity too. You can see this play out everywhere. The guy who used to have ambition now spends weekends binge-watching shows he doesn't even like because that's what she wants. The man who once had goals now only has obligations, and when she finally leaves, he says, "But I gave you everything." And that's exactly why she left. You gave her everything but the one thing she actually wanted, the man you used to be. The Stoics had a saying, "To need another person is to hand them your freedom." When you sacrifice your masculinity for comfort, you trade leadership for dependence. Real love doesn't demand that. Real love invites two strong people to meet as equals, and that leads us to the final and deadliest sign. Number 8, you put her above yourself every single time. This is the full evolution of the simp, the man who treats his own life like it's secondary to hers. Every decision revolves around her, her schedule, her emotions, her approval. You become the man who cancels plans, skips sleep, and neglects his own needs just to keep her satisfied. It sounds noble, doesn't it? I'm putting her first. But in reality, what you're doing is putting yourself last. You're teaching her that her time, her mood, and her comfort are worth more than yours. That isn't love, it's worship. And the more you worship her, the less she values the man kneeling in front of her. Let's get real. A woman might enjoy that level of attention for a while, but she'll never stay attracted to a man who lives for her validation. When she knows that one text from her can cancel your plans, she stops seeing you as strong. She sees you as available, and availability kills mystery. Imagine this, she texts, "Hey, I'm bored, come over." You've got work in the morning, but you grab your keys anyway. You think you're showing dedication. She thinks, he's got nothing better going on. Women don't fall for men they can summon. They fall for men they have to earn. Don't misunderstand this. Putting a woman first sometimes is a beautiful thing. But when it becomes every time, at the cost of your boundaries, your peace, and your purpose, you're not being romantic. You're being replaceable. A real man knows balance. He knows when to give, but he also knows when to withhold. He knows that love without self-respect is slavery. The bottom line is simple. A simp is a man who gives up his power for a woman who hasn't earned it. Respect isn't given to the man who bends the most. It's given to the man who stands firm when it would be easier to fall. So if you've seen yourself in any of these signs, don't hate yourself. Awareness is the first step to rebuilding strength. The goal isn't to stop loving women. It's to stop losing yourself while doing it. Because when you lead from confidence, not desperation, women won't just like you, they'll admire you. And if you're ready to flip the script to make her chase you, then the next step is simple. Learn how to rebuild attraction by becoming a man who commands respect, not seeks it. Because once you learn that, you'll never simp again.